Captain at work.
Just ahead on Pacific Wonder.
First thing I did as soon as we hit the beach is I took my shoes off.
Yeah.
With the feel of line in hand, the smell of salt on the wind, and the sound of wave against rock. As witness to powerful tides rushing over shoals and snow-capped mountains towering high above the sea, while savoring the soothing serenity of babbling brooks and surrounded by the undisturbed tranquility of endless placid bays. This is our story as we sail Pacific Wonder north to Alaska. We arise early and steam out of Allison Harbor, past the Emily group of small islets, around Llama Shoals, and up Europa Passage outside the Storm Islands. From there, we plunge headlong into Queen Charlotte Sound and feel the effects of the open Pacific.
At work. These are the Storm Islands.
At this point in our passage, we reflect on George Vancouver's notes from the log of the Discovery, the first European to explore north of what is now Vancouver Island. Friday, August 10, 1792, having narrowly escaped double disaster at Cape Caution in Queen Charlotte Sound, where both the HMS Discovery and Chatham went on the rocks in the fog, Captain George Vancouver takes his ship northward with the intent of continuing the coastal survey. By 4 p.m., the captain finds Safety Cove and heads for the anchorage. Vancouver recalls in his journal, "We anchored about 6 in the evening in 17 fathoms on the south side of the cove. Being tolerably well sheltered in this cove, I was willing to hope the Chatham might with security, and without much difficulty, we laid on shore to examine if she had sustained any damage while striking on the rocks."
A little bit bumpy today, but this is the trip around Cape Caution. We tried yesterday and it was even worse. So today we think the seas are supposed to subside this afternoon down to something a little more reasonable. I think they're about 2 meters now. It's supposed to be like 1 point something this afternoon. Giving it a try.
Once clear of the Storm Islands, we turn north and thread our way outside the reefs at Cape Caution and inside the reefs of the Right Bank. Once clear of Cape Caution, we continue north outside of Egg Island and across the Speedwell Banks. Then over the Brown Banks, past Rivers Inlet, and into Fitzhugh Sound. Then up the east coast of Calvert Island, past Safety Cove. Then west in Quaxua Channel, between Calvert Island and Hecata Island, into Pruth Bay. As we pass Addenbrooke Island Light and turn west into Quaxua Channel, we enter a surreal world of balmy breezes and cascading waterfalls that splash into the sea. We're mesmerized and forget we are exhausted. Once at anchor, we're barraged by the comedic antics of frolicking bald eagles, the fresh fragrance of endless evergreens, and the curiosity of fearless sea ducks in the cove. But after 14 hours at the wheel, we collapse to our bunks, reflecting again on Vancouver's log of this area from August of 1792. Supplies of salmon, firewood, and fresh water are taken aboard by the sailors, but damage to the Chatham remained unsurveyed, since the tides were too small to ground her properly. Lying at anchor, Vancouver expresses concern for the men he has out surveying, but at the same time expresses confidence in them, as well as his pleasure in their positive attitude towards their work. We can't help but marvel that this place looks exactly to us as it did to them so long ago. Nothing much has changed here. The bay, the birds, and the scenery are as intoxicating as the history. We decide to lay over a day to explore, despite the beautiful weather, and we launch the skiff. We row about a mile from where we anchored Pacific Wonder to the research wharf at the head of the bay, where it is permitted to tie up and disembark for a hike. From there we hike west across the isthmus on the well-marked trail to West Beach, where we discover a cruiser's heaven.
Today is Friday, June 23rd, 2017. Yesterday, which was Thursday, we left Allison Harbor after having returned there after our failed attempt at Cape Caution. We left at about 5 o'clock in the morning and went on the outside through Europa Passage
Outside the Storm Islands.
outside the Storm Islands in Queen Charlotte Sound,
And we did that to get away from Slingsby Channel,
which is a nasty place.
which we tried to get out of there by crossing that channel on slack tide, and it was still stacked up from an hour or two before, so that's why we aborted yesterday.
Yeah.
So we just avoided it altogether and went outside the Storm Islands and added 5 miles to the trip.
Yeah. And we intended to stop at Fury Cove that after crossing Cape Caution, but then we decided it was still early enough in the day. We went ahead and went to Pruth Bay on Calvert Island, which is the home of the Hakai Scientific Research Institute. They open it up for students to do research and schools to do training sessions with the kids, and then it's also open to the public to use their trail over to the west coast.
And it looked like all the researchers were vacationing and having fun, which you can't hardly blame them, you know.
When you come out of the walk out of the forest, you're greeted with this bay, and it is beautiful.
West Bay on Calvert Island.
West Bay on Calvert Island.
Look at this thing. I mean, it's just like picturesque white sand beach. I feel like I'm in Redondo Beach before the turn of the century or something. It's just beautiful.
The beach is bordered with alders, and then behind the alders are a whole bunch of fir trees and cedar trees, and
Bald eagles flying around, and white
robins on the
sand beach, and it's 75 degrees if it's a minute.
yeah, and AJ and Marie said you have to stop here
Cruising friends that are a few days ahead of us going north.
on Valente,
Yeah.
and we're sure glad we stayed another day. We were so exhausted last night. We got up this morning and said, no, we can't do it. So we stayed another day, and we're making this hike today, and it is gorgeous. First thing I did as soon as we hit the beach is I took my shoes off.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
I have one thing to say about our decision this morning when we said, what are we going to do? We got out of bed and we actually slept late. You know, it gets dark at, well, I woke up at 11:30 last night and it wasn't dark yet.
Yeah.
But then I woke up at 3 in the morning and it was dark. I woke up again at 6 and it had been daylight for a long time.
Yeah.
So I don't know, we're down to like 4 hours of daylight here, or 4 hours of darkness, I guess. But this morning, when we talked it over breakfast and said, well, shall we just go on because it's beautiful weather? And I said, I have one thing to say. And Diane said, what? And I said, shore leave.
Yeah. We needed a break. So this is just absolutely beautiful, and so glad we're doing this.
Yep. So we'll have lots of more pictures to throw in here.
Yep.
And if you ever go up the coast here on the Inside Passage and you pass by this place, well, I don't think you made the right choice.
Yeah.
Unless the weather's bad or something. And we're anchored in this pristine little cove in Pruth Bay. It's just, we'll have pictures of that too. It's just absolutely placid.
There's birds in there. They're all talking.
The air is so
morning.
still. When a duck flies by, it sounds like a 747 coming across your bow. It's just unbelievably gorgeous. Can't say enough.
Yeah. So
So-
there's loons, there's crows, there's eagles, there's hawks, there's
Oh yeah. There's fish jumping.
a seal in the
A couple of
bay.
seals in the bay, and we're going to take a walk now on West Beach and see if we can squish some sand up between our toes.
Yes, please.
After our barefoot walk on the beach, we head south through a lush forest to the observation point above Second Beach for these magnificent views of the Pacific. Join us again in our next episode as we grind north past Princess Louisa Island and Bella Bella through some of the most beautiful coastal waters on Earth aboard Pacific Wonder. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel here on YouTube and friend Pacific Wonder on Facebook for real-time updates.
And hey, how about hitting that like button?